yoga and Sanatan Dharma are not separate because yoga is one part of the 6 darshans out of the Sanatan Dharma.
What is Sanatan Dharma really, if you can define it in few words?
Sanatan Dharma, if you translate it, it's coming to eternal laws.
A lot of people out there, including me when I was young, I used to think that yoga is just asana, like Surya Namaskaras and all that. What is yoga really, if you can explain it to us?
So the definition of yoga goes, it's the union of the body, mind and soul. So the Hatha Yogi is saying,
so how does yoga help or staying with Sanatana Dharma?
If I have to give you one word for it, the very sense of discrimination is the very sense of realization.
Shamata. Welcome to our new season of Dharma Speaks from Mahagate Foundation. Today we have a guest from Rishikesh, and
Shamata.
You can introduce yourself.
I am Rhythm. I'm a yoga teacher. I live in Rishikesh, and today I am here with Mahagate to speak on Sanatan Dharma. So watch the podcast and follow Mahagate. If you want to find me on Instagram.
This is exactly what happened in our podcast. We had fun shooting it, and I would request all of you to watch it and subscribe. Thank you.
It's like, share, ring the bell icon and subscribe.
There she goes. Thank you.
Shamata.
Shamata Rhythm Bandhu. Here at Mahagate, we use Shamata to greet each other. It's from the Upanishads. It means may peace and tranquility be with you. And Bandhu is to refer to the other person as an Atma Bandhu.
Wow, that is one of the nicest, beginner words, like introductions. I've always heard Namaste, and then Shamata I think is going to be my next go, and hopefully I will introduce that. And Bandhu, we usually always kind of the way I understand it, because I'm coming from north, Bandhu is like a friend, but then when you say Atma Bandhu, it's even more
Connecting.
beautiful.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice.
Let's just dive into the topic.
Yes, Shamata, let's begin.
Shamata. So, well, because we're here to talk about two major things. One is Sanatan Dharma and the other is yoga, and you're a yoga teacher. So we have a congregation between these two. Okay. But let's start with Sanatan Dharma. So what is Sanatan Dharma really, if you can define it in few words?
Sanatan Dharma, it's coming from 3 pillars. Before we understand what is Sanatan Dharma, let's understand human behavior. Sanatan Dharma, if you translate it, it's coming to eternal laws. Okay. Now, what does that mean? How the sun rises from the east, sets in the west. Fire is hot, water is fluid. And now understanding how this nature is for humans more. So there are 3 things that every human is looking for. First is immortality. We all want that. Okay. We accept it or we don't, but we want to be immortal. That's why we always want to create something and leave something, so the immortality is living through that. So first is that. Second is this knowledge, to become know-it-all. Like I want to know more and I want to know more, and the more I know, the better it is. The third is going to be the endless joy. Okay, which many people will say Paramanand or ecstasy. Right. So immortality is Sat, complete knowledge is Chit, endless joy is Anand, and the state of Sat, Chit, Anand.
Satchidanand.
Satchidanand,
right.
Yes. And what brings you to the state of Satchidanand is what Sanatan Dharma is.
Okay. Wow, that's a very beautiful explanation. Yes. So how is this Satchidanand, which is Sanatan Dharma concept, how is that really correlated with yoga? Can one live without the other? Can we separately do each other without the existence of the other thing?
Sanatan Dharma is having 6 darshans. Just how a human body has 6 senses. We have 6 darshans. Yoga is one of them.
Okay.
And what happens is that especially nowadays, people are not able to understand what to read, what not to read, what are we translating, and the wrong translations that are there. You will find that many people will say that this is written in your Manusmriti, and then the contradiction of that is written in Manusmriti. And instead of understanding that we have to find what is not the part of Manusmriti, that this can't be because of how much milawat is being done.
Right.
From the era of Mughals and then Britishers, and they've ruined the books. That doesn't mean that you don't have to read the book, but yes, you definitely need a guidance now that helps you kind of identify what is and what is not from what is there for us. And if you are just a little smart and you have that initial training, it's not a big thing to kind of understand. And many of our saints and scholars, they have done a lot of great works which helps you to take you closer to the real translations of that. So when we are understanding this thing, and we also understand that many people don't find the connection with it.
Correct.
But with yoga, what happens that because it's one of the 6 darshans of Sanatana Dharma, it brings the whole practice through that.
Correct.
So I can be somebody that is not following Sankhya Darshan, and I'm following yoga. And that's fine. It's like, I am driving on this sense more, and I'm connecting with this. And this brings a physical connection and opening your body. And there's a whole science to it, and then there's a whole spiritual science to it. So yoga and Sanatana Dharma are not separate, because yoga is one part of the 6 darshans out of the Sanatana Dharma.
Okay.
And again, I will say the same thing. It is the eternal law. And it's the science. Science are the eternal laws. You can't change it. It is what it is. And you see as things are, not what you imagine them to be. So yoga definitely is another bridge for people to connect with it. And especially for the youth, it is much easier. And the philosophy is more simpler. The way that they would want, instead of going completely diving deep into the scriptures. And it's important to have the teacher that is going to help you identify what is the truth and what is the lie. So if you're feeling lost somewhere, and if you're feeling that you're not able to cope up with the, whatever's happening in the market, then I would say begin with yoga, because those texts are still preserved, and there's nothing too crazy, and you can cope up with that easily. So yeah, definitely an easier road.
So Sanatana in the word itself means eternal.
Yeah.
And we are living in a modern world where the times are evolving, it's changing.
Yeah.
I see you already have a response in mind. So since we're tackling something that's eternal with something that's modern, there'll be certain challenges.
Yeah.
Obviously. So and anxiety, depression, all these are certain variants of those challenges.
Yeah.
So how does yoga help, or staying with Sanatana Dharma, no matter how modern a situation changes, how does that help? How does that work?
So 3 basic needs of human: immortality, knowledge, and endless joy.
Joy, yeah.
Right? Satchitanand. I want to experience the Satchitanand, and the place where we experience Satchitanand is not outside of us. It's within the body. It's in the mind. It becomes a soul experience. So the definition of yoga goes, it's the union of the body, mind, and soul. Correct? Body, immortality. Mind is the endless knowledge. Soul is what wants to experience the
joy.
Ecstasy. Endless joy. Correct? So with yoga, all of this is happening because the first thing that happens is that you understand that you can never die. Is the nature of the soul. And you practice more and more on that theory. The second is the endless knowledge, where you learn about yourself by diving deep. And of course, the theoretical knowledge is as important as the practical knowledge. So it's coming in the combination of that.
Okay.
Endless joy is then also experienced through your body, whether you're practicing yoga on the mat and also when you're practicing yoga off the mat.
Okay.
So it's two concepts,
This-
yoga on the mat and off the mat.
So a lot of people out there, including me when I was young, I used to think that yoga is just asana, like Surya Namaskaras and all that. So because that's what we say, yoga and then Surya Namaskara and
Yeah.
asana. But yoga is not just that. There are 8 limbs to it and there's so much more to it.
Yeah.
So what is yoga really, if you can explain it to us?
Yoga is understood as the union of body, mind, and soul. Yes, so let's establish that first.
Correct.
Now, if it is body, mind, and soul, and we are keeping the concept of Sat, Chit, Anand, then definitely it can't just be the physical movement.
Correct.
Physical movement is one aspect of it, and very clearly you said the 8 limbs are there, right? In 8 limbs we have dharana, we have yam, niyam, dharana, pranayam, asan, and pratyahara, and all of that.
Correct.
So when we are covering these 8 limbs, there are 2 challenges that can come. But you have to first, before we go to the 2 challenges, let's understand when we say limbs of yoga. What are we understanding? My body, limbs. So yoga is a body, and the body has limbs,
Branches, kind of.
right? Yoga's face, yoga's arms, yoga's heart.
Correct.
So in those limbs comes these things where I will put it down very simply. You create a sankalp that I'm going to do this and this is what's going to happen. You manan it inside your heart.
Correct.
That then you are keeping that thought inside and you're observing your emotions. And then obviously you will identify your challenges. And you keep quiet in that. It's not, you don't go around that. That's why they say that if you're having experiences, keep it with you, share it with your teacher. But don't go around talking in the world like, this happened and that happened and now I'm feeling this and now I'm feeling that. Because then again, the inside, that place where you have to reach inside, that will not open up to you.
Okay.
Because then other people will say something and only the upper layer of you is satisfied in that. So we are delving deeper into ourselves. And a very simple thing is that if you are not feeling good, if you are not thinking good, you cannot move good. Because imagine you are depressed, correct?
Correct.
You are going to move depressed.
True.
Right?
True.
Those are the chemicals that are going to be inside. So here I would like to bring the 2 challenges now. So when we go to the Buddhist traditions, when Buddhism was just coming up, but yoga was there before. If we understand Matsyendranath and Goraknath,
Correct.
So yoga has been there before Buddhism was there, and when Gautam Buddha came and he developed a theory.
Correct.
And if we go with that theory, he's saying that first you work mentally, clean yourself mentally, and then you will do yoga. Okay. And the Hatha yogis clearly saw that this is not going to work for a very long period of time.
Okay.
And because for some people, they can mentally establish that thing and be like, okay, I will not do this. And they will actually stop doing that. But for most of us, it's not possible. We are struggling. And then what happens, like somebody will think, I should not eat meat. Simple example.
Correct. Yeah.
And they will be so sad and depressed and make their coming week a living hell, because they will be like, I'm eating meat, I can't leave it, oh my god, what can I do?
Right.
So the Hatha yogi is saying, hold on, you come, you move your body, all these things will go away. So what they identified is that not everybody is coming from the same mental capacity.
Correct.
So the best way to move into the practice is to first move your physical body, and the chemical changes are being created in the body, because technically we are working with breath, the pranic energy.
Yeah.
Pranic energy is going to work with your metabolism. If your metabolism is doing good, the hormones are going to be working great, and all these chemical changes will slowly start taking place inside you, giving you the sense of peace, giving you the sense of tranquility, giving you the sense of calmness.
Correct.
Once you are calm, only then you will be able to reflect upon. If a little child is already jumpy, then the child is not going to listen to you.
Correct.
So how do you take care of that? First, you get the child to relax. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to
Correct.
me. Or the child is crying. Then you're like, okay, listen to me, listen to me.
Right.
After the child is calm, only then the child is ready to listen to you. So it is the same for us. We first have to be kind to the child inside us. Whatever the child is doing, a bad habit or is not feeling good, first be kind and calm the child inside. Then you kind of open up this thing. Okay, let's move. You know, you always kind of direct the little children. If they're not listening, okay, do this. And then they do that and then they're feeling good. So we always forget that we are the same.
Correct.
That has not changed.
Correct.
We think that now we have grown up and, you know, we are smart people.
Yeah.
And why should I be thinking like that? It happens. So when we understand yoga, it is managing all of these things. Flexibility, disease management. It's just the byproduct of the practice.
Okay.
That is not why yoga is taking place. Yoga is taking place to bring you in the union of soul, mind and body. So that you can achieve Satchidanand and you can leave what is not important, and what is important is where you live, and eventually you live here. Even if you have a partner in the house, when you go to bed, for some time you are going to bed with your partner, but after a while you only go bed with yourself.
Correct,
So
correct.
if this is not happy, this is not good, then there's no meaning to anything. Then you'll be in hell without being in afterlife hell.
Correct.
So that way I think yoga is everything. You know, it's your peace of mind, it's the right kind of thought, it is connected with Sanatan Dharma. You can't kill somebody and feel good about it.
Yeah. It's there.
Yeah, if it's not coming from the aspect of dharma.
Yeah, for sure.
Like if you know, somebody is creating nuisance in the society, then you have to put an end to that nuisance, and that will then
unnecessary
make
one.
you sleep.
Yeah.
So identifying the discrimination, I always say this, that the very sense of discrimination is the very sense of realization.
Okay.
People say don't be judgmental, but I'm
you have
just like
be able to discriminate in certain areas.
yeah, because I'm like, okay, then don't use the word judgmental if you're feeling pressured about it, but use discrimination. Because if you can't discriminate between right and wrong, and all right, this theory that my right is different and your wrong is different,
At
maybe
least
yes.
better or worse, better
Yes, maybe
decisions.
you can digest milk and I cannot.
Yeah.
But there are some eternal laws in humanity that are there. And if those are not met, then, you know, that is where the problem is. So that is where Sanatan Dharma comes in.
Okay.
And that is what yoga is teaching you.
Okay.
Balance of things. Not too much, not too less, just being present in the moment.
So many times when people do practice yoga along with Sanatan Dharma, there is this concept of a downward parabola where you're in that tip where you're at the balance and even if you don't do something correct or you don't follow certain niyama, you fall out of balance usually as it happens. You immediately fall away and you have to again come back to that balance. It's not a continuous thing or a constant thing is what sometimes I would feel, or sometimes anyone who's practicing yoga might feel. So how do we change that downward parabola to an upward parabola where, you know, no matter what you do, you are in that balance. You don't really fall out of balance. How can we make that possible?
It's a great question.
Thank you.
A very simple way. One, if I have to give you one word for it, it is seva.
Seva. Okay.
Yes. The only time you are going to fall out of it is because you are going to be exhausted or feeling too good or too bad.
Okay. Interesting.
And to find your balance is to be in unconditional acts. And unconditional acts come through service. And service begins in the home.
Okay.
So if you have to understand where you are in life. If somebody is telling you, आप क्या लेके आए थे, आप क्या लेके जाएंगे, आप उनको बोलिए हम आत्मा को लेके आए थे और आत्मा को मुक्त करा के जाएंगे. That is very important. You can't take your atma. Atma has come in the body and now it has to be mukt from this. This is the biggest truth of life. In the middle is this play that is happening, life, and we have to find what endless joy,
Correct.
Anand, right? Immortal we are, correct? Now we have to find joy. The joy can only come to one person or in a place where there is knowledge, true knowledge, correct? If your input is wrong, your output is going to be wrong. So it is your responsibility to get the right input so that your output is correct. Once your input is there, the only place where you will find this and this is where you are trying to come to acceptance of things. That I accept it. That I accept I'm also going to feel very good, and I accept that I'm also going to feel very bad. I'm going to be heartbroken, and I'm going to say my soul has shattered.
Yeah.
All these things. And once you understand that I am here to experience this, both the things, but there is a space between that. And you also are detached from the thing that it's temporary, it's passing, I'm feeling this. My goal is not to be here. And great that it's not lasting. Because I'm moving forward in my life. Right? So when we are moving forward from there, that is where I think what you are saying is kind of taking place.
Okay.
Is happening.
Very interesting answer. Very interesting.
So that's where the balance will come. And understanding, like if I'm in Grihastha ashram, correct? If you think you're going to go outside and chant Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Om Namah Shivaya,
Right.
and come home to a wife where she's complaining that you're not fulfilling the responsibilities, vice versa, wife going out, husband's here, you cannot feel good about it. And the only place where you are not going to feel good about is where you have not done your work. If I have done my work, then I am not result oriented, because my work was what I had to do and I fulfilled that. So once I've done that with the true knowledge, of how I have to be and what is my responsibility, and I'm true to it. And as long as you're doing that and you are in service, it's an act of service, and doing what you need to do is the right kind of flow. It's flowing with the flow is what I always say.
Okay.
So then that this and this will stop.
So,
emotions will be there, but you will come to balance.
Just to bring a little more clarity, so let's say in Grihastha ashrama, a husband might think that I'm giving everything to my wife, what possibly else could be a duty, but she's still complaining. So something dharmic here would be understanding why she's complaining, which is also your duty, right?
Yeah.
So all of that included would be your duty, and not just providing for her, or not just what is duty, that's something not everyone would be clear about.
Yeah.
So if you can also talk about what could be certain duties that sometimes we might not understand, or we limit ourselves to me providing to my family in Grihastha ashrama is my duty. But sometimes we need more awareness. So how do we make sure of that at certain points of time?
Grihastha ashram is given the utmost respect, because it is said that if you have not gone through Grihastha ashram and you're jumping from brahmacharya to vanprasth and then sannyas, then you don't have the training. And theory is important, but the practical experience is given a lot of value in our Sanatan culture. Because it's both, it should be a balance of both.
Correct.
So right input is coming from what? Knowledge, theory. Then it will create a right output. Now with that output, based on your situation, the knowledge you will receive is what's needed in your vanprasth and your sannyas. Okay. So I will clear this up, because there will be a resistance of women's the audience. They will be like, yes, and then men will be like, oh my god. Of course, like, woman has to be very practical with what she's expecting. If she's like, get me $1 million necklace. They can't afford it.
Sure.
Like out of their budget. We are not talking about these. Let's
Correct,
clear
correct.
that.
In all rationality. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Like in all rationality, what it means. I think this is where the dharma part of it comes.
Okay.
And Grihast is all about dwand.
Okay.
Dwand how? Sukh, dukh, hani, labh. And here what you have to understand, what you are training for is that I am working with my partner and training myself to go through all the good, all the bad, all the profits, all the loss, monetarily, emotionally, and physically also your body is changing, and then you're going through many emotions, and there will be a loss of parents and all these things. And you have a companion here. And in that you are also seeing her change or him change, and you are seeing like she's a world, she's a different world, world change. So you're so thoroughly trained here, and you have kids that you've created, and there you will learn different things, that eventually all this inner circle training will now start reflecting outside. So in Vanprastha you are always preaching good, you know, about the culture, and you should be like this and you should do this.
Correct.
And you cannot preach drink alcohol, get messed up and enjoy life, because that will be very wrong spiritually for somebody's growth. So when you have lived this balance, and the only balance in Grihast is to get through together with respect.
Okay.
You can always complain, you can always fight. It's part of the Grihast.
Yeah.
But it is to stay determined to walk together. So Grihast also teaches us to be in a sangathan.
Okay.
And imagine there are 2 people family. And they fought with a 5 people family.
Okay.
Who's more in power?
Definitely the 5.
Yes. So sangathan brings a lot of power. How to hold, you know, such different mind, brains, age groups together is the training of Grihast. So when these 2 people are going to move out, they are already having the training, and they are going to bring everybody together in a sangathan.
Correct.
So community forming is there, you know, and the growth of, you know, the people is involved there. So the more you are learning how to be determined to move together, you know, should be your goal.
Okay.
No matter sukh or dukh, no matter your loss or profit.
Okay.
I am determined to move together with you. That is Grihast.
Correct.
And then it will make you a true Vanprasthi or a true sannyasi. It will not fill you up with ego. You will, because at the same time, imagine you've spent so many years with the person and you have to say bye to them. Right? They're separating also. So the sense of separation, the real sense of separation, you are understanding there. Because you've built so much with that person. And that is the true separation. Right? Separation from your kids is also true separation. So when you will be towards your sannyas, that earlier training from Grihast to Vanprastha, and Vanprastha, a lot of knowledge and all of that is also seeking in, and more time for yourself, your own body. That is when you will actually meet a true sannyasi who will just be renouncing, but with a joy and not ego.
Okay.
So yeah.
So you've mentioned about Dwand. Can you explain a little bit more about what you've just said about Dwand?
So Dwand in Grihast ashram, Sukh and Dukh. Let's take 2 situations. Sukh and Dukh, profit and loss.
Correct.
And the space in between. And this is actually the state of passion between Shiva and Shakti. Like it's that, and they are together and they are balancing the dance of Shiva Shakti, and the Sukh and the Dukh, and they are trying to create the balance, and this inner state that is like a magnet keeping them, that is the Dwand. So if you are creating that, then you are creating the passion of Shiva Shakti. So welcome to Grihast. That's why most Grihast photos you will see the Shiv Parivar. It cannot be Radha Krishna.
Quite interesting.
Yes.
There's so much meaning to our Puranas, all the Itihasas.
Yeah.
So
Nobody
many
says that on a wedding day,
yeah.
nobody says that this couple will be like Radha and Krishna. It's always Shiv Parvati. And there's a lot of meaning to it. Children are there. Abundance is there. Prosperity is there.
Wonderful explanation. I was just thinking about the whole Puranas and how it It's all about symbolism
Yeah.
and how we enter into it. So now that we've covered Grihastha and Vanaprastha Sannyasam, I also wanted to ask about Brahmacharyam, celibacy and yoga. So
Yeah.
these concepts
Yeah.
from the brahmacharis out there. So can you please tell about that?
So, first thing I would like to say is that every time we are always complaining that Britishers took away our education system, but the biggest hit that they gave to us was to take away the simple like this part of education. I think was really needed, and the youth of India complains we don't have sex education, but what really is that we don't have